No matter how kind we try to be, we still hurt one another in relationships all the time. It's part of being a fallible human. We're all sensitive to some things, some certain things, and oftentimes we trip over something for someone else that we don't even realize is there. The first thing we need to do is recognize that as a fact of life. If you're the one who gets hurt, help your partner recognize that you're hurt, and vice versa, because it does go both ways, though men will rarely acknowledge it. Then we need to learn how to repair the breach quickly by knowing when and how to apologize. No, the man isn't always wrong. He often feels like he is, but women mess up too. The important part, when you think about repairing something like that, and we're talking about day to day, relatively minor injuries that can build up over time. But when we talk about repairing that, it can be done really quickly if you understand actually how to do an apology. A woman is far more likely to express her hurt feelings than a man is, not because he's not hurt, but because he's been taught to ignore his feelings. Perhaps that's the reason women rarely know when they've offended their husbands. And men often feel like they have to apologize all the time. Oftentimes, his response comes in the form of an explanation. Unfortunately, explanations often sound defensive and dismissive. In other words, he explains that his intentions were good, therefore, she has no reason to be hurt or upset. He efficiently defends himself and blames her for being overly sensitive in one fell swoop. He discounts her feelings completely. Not a good way to build a close relationship. Even so, apologizing isn't merely saying I'm sorry. Before those words come out of your mouth, you need to know what you're apologizing for. And that's where it can get a little tricky, because you might think the problem was X and it was really A, which means there's no way you can do that apology well because you're apologizing for the wrong thing. Put quite simply, your apology is about having hurt someone. It's about hurting your feelings or disrespecting him in some way. It's almost never about what your intentions were, assuming you didn't intentionally hurt her. What's more important is the way the person receives what you did or didn't do. You can help with healing that without taking the blame for everything all the time. Men make this mistake more often than women do. Again, maybe it's because men don't often tell us when we've hurt them. If you're apologizing for hurting her feelings, just say, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Don't add a single word to that because it will completely change the meaning. For example, if you said, I'm sorry if that hurt your feelings, you're saying that you doubt the reliability and validity of her hurt. On the other hand, when you say, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, you're stating a fact, acknowledging that something you did hurt her, even though that wasn't your intention. In reality, you may not really have done anything wrong. Maybe what you did was perfectly human and not malicious, like not being where you were expected to be or forgetting something important or not calling to let her know you're going to be late. Nevertheless, the end result was she got her feelings hurt. You're simply acknowledging that reality when you say, oh my goodness, I hurt you, I'm so sorry. Then let it go for a minute to see how she responds. Wait and watch for her to relax physically. You'll know it because you're sensitive to her moods. After she relaxes a little bit and you feel like she has accepted your apology, then you can give her your explanation and let her know that hurting her was not your intent. You got to do this in the right order, or it will not work. Now, men get hurt too, but as you study men, you'll learn that he is much more likely to say he feels disrespected than hurt. The good news? Accepting your apology is often not as difficult for him because men are incredibly forgiving of the women they love. Just make sure you don't keep saying or doing whatever it was that made him feel disrespected. Make a promise to yourself and keep it. That's called integrity. And this is how it goes in the opposite direction. Put quite simply, your apology is about him feeling disrespected. It's almost never about what your intentions were. assuming you didn't intentionally disrespect him. What's more important is the way he received what you did or didn't do. When you're apologizing for disrespecting him, just say, "I'm sorry. I know that came across as disrespectful." Don't be condescending or sarcastic. You're simply stating a fact, acknowledging that something you did felt disrespectful to him, even though that wasn't your intention. Remember that men and women use language differently and they're sensitive to different things. Maybe what you said or did was perfectly innocent and not intentionally emasculating or malicious. Nevertheless, the end result was he felt disrespected. You're simply acknowledging that reality. The art of the apology is something we all need to practice to get right. Don't worry if it doesn't go smoothly the first time. You're human, and you'll soon have another opportunity to practice because we keep on doing things that bump into one another's tender spots on a regular basis. To learn more about how your mate thinks, feels, and why they act the way they do, enroll in my free classes at drdebismith.com. And if you have any questions, let me know. Remember, I'm here to help.